This meeting is now being recorded.
Good afternoon. My name is Christine Ullom, and thank you for this opportunity to present my final defense, Emotional Intelligence Among Faculty in Pre-Licensure Nursing Programs. I am deeply grateful for the many people who have assisted me during my doctoral journey. Dr. Judy Burkhart, my capstone chair, provided me with the guidance and positive support I needed when I doubted my abilities. Her invaluable advice has made this a pleasant journey towards completion. I would also like to thank Dr. Ramona Yaley, committee member, for providing me with encouragement and support. Thank you to Dr. Barbara Pate for her wonderful guidance with statistical analysis. And lastly, thank you to the administration who made this journey even possible. Industrial and corporate companies have widely adopted emotional intelligence skills, whereas healthcare has been less likely to include emotional intelligence skills in educational preparation. Most nursing educational programs do not incorporate emotional intelligence into the nursing curriculum. Value is placed on physiological and pharmaceutical concepts, whereas the interpersonal skills get lesser attention. Nurses need education on the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective skills of nursing to provide quality care. Nursing faculty and students need to understand the importance emotional intelligence has, as one cannot perform safe, quality care with just cognitive and psychomotor skills. So why is the inclusion of emotional intelligence in the nursing curriculum necessary? Implementing emotional intelligence in the nursing curriculum has both academic and non-academic implications. Research has shown emotional intelligence has a positive effect on interpersonal relationships, collaboration, leadership styles, patient outcomes, academic success, and job satisfaction. Increasing the students' emotional intelligence may help students develop better stress coping strategies for the rigorous academic demands of nursing education and in non-academic stressful situations. Students with higher emotional intelligence are more likely to have better time management and organizational skills. Understanding one's emotions can lead to understand the decisions one makes. Inadequate inclusion of content about emotional intelligence in pre-licensure nursing programs may lead to a decreased ability of graduates to function within an interdisciplinary and collaborative team, therefore jeopardizing the quality of patients' care, staff retention, and job satisfaction. The Institute of Medicine has called for a radical transformation of the healthcare system. One of the key messages is for the nursing profession to produce leaders who will act as partners with healthcare professionals to provide high-quality care. To work together, nurses need to have a self-awareness of their emotions, an understanding of other people's emotions, and emotional management. Prior to inclusion of emotional intelligence in the nursing curriculum, the emotional intelligence of the faculty needed to be evaluated. Faculty cannot teach students about emotional intelligence unless they have high emotional intelligence. There are three main models for emotional intelligence that exist, all which differ in the conceptual definition of emotional intelligence. In 1980, Baron related emotional intelligence to personality characteristics. Salovey and Mayer in 1990 defined emotional intelligence as the ability to monitor one's and others' feelings and emotions, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions. Daniel Goleman defined emotional intelligence as a person's potential to develop and master the skills of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Research has shown emotional intelligence is a factor to improve academic and social outcomes such as school attrition, student satisfaction, peer relationships, and health. High emotional intelligence helps to reduce risky behaviors such as dropouts, drug use, and violence while increasing pro-social behaviors like positive peer relationships and leadership. Emotional intelligence affects not only the individual, but also others that surround the individual. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the emotional intelligence of nursing faculty employed at community colleges before and after an educational intervention. Research has shown a high relationship between emotional intelligence and teacher effectiveness. Teaching to others involves more than just the subject matter expertise, but also emotional intelligence. To be an effective teacher, one must have interpersonal skills for interaction and communication. An effective teacher can lead to success in the classroom as the learning needs of the students are being met. Emotional intelligence can be learned. While research has been substantial in the outcomes of emotional intelligence, what is lacking in the research is abilities of teachers regarding emotional intelligence. Do teachers have the knowledge of emotional intelligence and the ability to use it in the classroom and educate about emotional intelligence? If teachers do not have high emotional intelligence, then the quality of teaching will be poor and ineffective. Without the knowledge of emotional intelligence and emotional intelligence abilities, faculty cannot teach students about it. The design of this project was a quantitative, quasi-experimental, one-group, pre-test, post-test design. With this type of design, the sample was pre-tested on the dependent variable and then post-tested after the intervention. The faculty were given the SHUTA Self-Report Emotional Intelligence Test, also known as the SSEIT, which consisted of 33 items. The faculty were asked to complete emotional intelligence training via a Google Docs website, and within 4 weeks of the training, the faculty were asked to complete the same emotional intelligence test given as a pretest. The research question for the study was, does an educational intervention increase the emotional intelligence of pre-licensure nursing faculty? For the purpose of this capstone project, Salovey and Mayer's original model for emotional intelligence was used. Salovey and Mayer suggested that emotional intelligence is categorized into 4 areas: appraising emotion, perceiving emotions, regulating emotions, and utilizing emotions. Appraising emotions is defined as perceiving his or her own emotions with accuracy and responding more appropriately to their feelings and can express oneself better. Perceiving emotions is defined as having the ability to recognize others' emotional reactions. Regulating emotions is defined as the ability to manage one's emotions, which can then enhance their mood and moods of others. Utilizing emotions is defined as individuals with emotional intelligence having more flexibility and creativity in developing alternatives to problems. This is a diagram of Salovey and Mayer's original model for emotional intelligence. Salovey and Mayer's model can be linked to the SHUTA Self-Report Emotional Intelligence Test, which has been color-coded for the various items. Research suggests a 4-factor solution for the 33 items in the SSEIT. The 4 factors are perception of emotions, managing of emotions in the self, managing others' emotions, and utilizing emotions. Questions 5, 9, 15, 18, 19, 22, 25, 29, and 33, I'm sorry, not 33, but 32, from the SSEIT are all related to appraisal and expression of emotion and is highlighted blue. Questions 1, 4, 11, 13, 16, 24, 26, and 30 from the SSEIT are all related to regulation of emotion in others and is highlighted green. Questions 2, 3, 10, 12, 14, 21, 23, 28, and 31 from the SSEIT are all related to regulation of emotion in the self and is highlighted yellow. Questions 6, 7, 8, 17, 20, 27, and 33 from the SSEIT are all related to utilization of emotion and is highlighted red. Content about emotional intelligence is lacking in nursing curricula because the focus in nursing is on the psychomotor skills rather than interpersonal skills. Academic success is multifactorial, with cognitive or non-cognitive factors that can contribute. One of those non-cognitive factors is emotional intelligence. Fernandez, Salomonson, and Griffiths in 2012 conducted a study to examine the association between emotional intelligence and academic performance among first-year accelerated graduate entry nursing students, which demonstrated a significant positive correlation. Inclusion of emotional intelligence in the curriculum can maximize student learning. Learning occurs with emotionally engaged students. Academic performance has been positively correlated when emotional intelligence was included in the curriculum, from research by Yeager in 2003. Also, according to a study by Romanelli, Kane, and Smith in 2006, students with higher emotional intelligence were more likely to have better time management and organizational skills. Emotionally self-aware nurses can enrich nurse-patient relationships, therefore improving patient satisfaction. Nurses need emotional skills to maintain interpersonal relationships. Establishing therapeutic communication is a foundation for all healthcare professions. Emotion management is necessary for successful interactions so that healthcare providers demonstrate an understanding of their patients. Highly emotional intelligent nurses seek collaborative solutions when conflict arises. Therefore, patient care can be more efficient and effective. One can use emotional intelligence to adaptively solve problems. When faced with alternatives, the inclusion of emotional intelligence may lead one to favor a decision over another. Lack of communication can be an issue in conflict. Communication can be hindered if one lacks interpersonal skills or one is unapproachable. If one can learn how to handle conflict in a productive style, one can enhance teamwork. Emotional intelligence and technical skills are both needed to work effectively as a team to provide care to patients and families. There is a positive correlation between emotional intelligence and transformational nursing leadership. Research findings show transformational leaders with high emotional intelligence are able to find a work-life balance for themselves, which then has a positive impact on the job performance, job satisfaction, and emotional intelligence of followers. Emotionally intelligent leaders impact others around them. An emotionally intelligent leader is able to demonstrate self-confidence, earn respect from others, gain trust, and take into consideration the needs of others. Individuals who are able to manage their emotions have better and more effective communication. This translates into healthy work environments. Emotionally intelligent leaders foster healthy work environments. The project was a quasi-experimental, quantitative one-group pre-test, post-test. The one-group design was used as it was not possible to recruit a control group. Without a control group, a positive outcome would merely suggest an effect for the experimental treatment. The data was collected by the researcher before and after an intervention. The quantitative design was chosen as the aim of quantitative research is to generate principles that describe and predict phenomena of interest and to be able to generalize. Variables in the study were age, gender, ethnicity, number of years employed as a faculty member, and number of years experience as a registered nurse. The independent variable was the educational intervention, and the dependent variable was the emotional intelligence scores. In order to recruit the faculty, an email invitation was sent to deans and directors of associate degree nursing programs asking for permission to allow the researcher to invite their pre-licensure nursing faculty to participate in the project. In the email, there was a paragraph that explained that they were giving consent once they accessed the survey. The email also explained that the faculty would be completing 2 separate surveys on 2 separate occasions, before and after emotional intelligence training. The link in the invitation allowed the faculty to access the Shuta Self-Report Emotional Intelligence Test. This researcher had obtained written permission from Dr. Nicola Shuta to use the tool for this project. Faculty were asked to complete emotional intelligence training within 4 weeks of completing the pre-test. The emotional intelligence training consisted of resources available through a web-based Google Docs site. There was a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation with voice overlay to educate the faculty on what emotional intelligence was, why it is important, and how emotional intelligence can be taught and/or increased. There were PDF files that discuss ways to increase emotional intelligence. Participants in the project were given the link to the Google Docs website in the email. So within 4 weeks after the training, the faculty had been asked to complete the same emotional intelligence test that was given as a pretest. They were also asked 3 questions to determine if they completed the training, when they took the post-test in relationship to the educational intervention, and if the educational intervention caused the faculty to seek more resources. Reminder emails were sent to faculty 1 week after the initial email invitation to participate in the project. After 2 weeks of minimal responses to the survey, an email was sent to the deans and directors of the colleges who agreed to participate to inquire if the survey had been disseminated. If after 2 days there was no email response back to the researcher, a phone call was made to the dean and directors by the researcher. After 6 weeks, data analysis was completed. The mean of the scores from the pre-test and the post-test of the emotional intelligence test were analyzed to determine if there was a statistically significant difference in the post-test scores from the pre-test scores. For the sample, there was a total of 5 participating schools, so the total sample was 87 nursing faculty. After the first couple of weeks, as responses were slow to come in via the email, the deans and directors had been contacted. The deans and directors had not sent out some of the surveys as faculty had been off work for the summertime and were not required to check their emails. The researcher had not planned on using the faculty at her own educational institution, but due to low responses, the decision was made to use the faculty via a proxy. A total of 31 faculty participated, but as 3 participants only completed the pre-test and did not complete the post-test, those results were not included in the findings. So a total of 28 faculty were included in the findings with a response rate of 32%. Based on the power analysis with a medium effect size of 0.5 and an alpha probability of 0.05, a power of 0.80, the total sample size needed was 27. The alpha probability means that there is a 5% chance of making a type 1 error. A type 1 error means that the data is representative of one population and not another when the data represents the latter. The power was set at 0.80, which means there was an 80% chance out of 100 of finding a relationship when there is one. A one-tail test was chosen to test the possibility of a relationship in one direction and completely disregarding the possibility of a relationship in the other direction. The one-tail test provides more power to detect an effect in one direction by not testing the effect in the other direction. The instrument that was used to answer the research question was the Schutte Self-Report Emotional Intelligence Test. This instrument was chosen over others because of its ease of use and because of factor loading of the SSEIT to the Salovey and Mayer Emotional Intelligence Model. The SSEIT is a 33-item self-report using a Likert scale from 1, which meant strongly disagree, to 5, strongly agree, for the responses. To figure the total scale score, the items were calculated by reverse coding items 5, 28, and 33, and then the items were summed together. The total score can range from 33 to 165. The higher the score, the more emotional intelligence one possesses. The psychometric properties of the scale have been published in the initial article about the scale development and in subsequent studies. Internal consistency, as measured by Cronbach's alpha, was 0.90. The SSEIT has also demonstrated internal consistency in other studies with a mean Chromebox alpha of 0.87. Reliability and validity have been established for this instrument. The 2-week retest reliability for this instrument was 0.78. Discriminant and predictive validity have been established. The population was a sample of convenience of pre-licensure nursing faculty at community colleges. As the sample was not randomized, the results may not be applied to a larger population, only suggested. There also was a chance the sampling procedure did not produce the best representative sample. Selection bias was taken into account as the results may not be able to be generalized. Only responses that could be paired from pre-test to post-test were included, and any responses that could not be paired were excluded from the findings. Another limitation to the project was the timing of the initial offering of the survey. One of the reasons for the lack of respondents initially was that the survey was administered to the faculty who were off work during the time of data collection and were not required to check their work email. Another reason was the delay of a proxy to send out the survey to the participants at the researcher's institution until the faculty returned from summer leave. Another limitation of the project was that all participants, except for one, answered the post-test within 1 week of viewing the emotional intelligence training. It is unknown if emotional intelligence scores would have been different if a longer passage of time had occurred. Once IRB approval was attained for all organizations, an email containing a cover letter discussing the project and consent, along with an embedded link to the emotional intelligence test in a Google Docs form, was sent to all potential participants. A follow-up reminder email was sent to all participants within 1 week of the initial email. Google Docs surveys do not collect Internet Protocol addresses, so all the respondents remained anonymous. Respondents chose a unique 4-digit ID to place on the pre-test and the post-test to link the two surveys to a single respondent. A timestamp of when the survey was completed was available. It had been recommended to the respondents to complete the survey on a public computer or to delete cookies on their personal computer to prevent any tracking by Google. The survey responses were automatically entered into an Excel database. So the procedure for the study included completion of the pre-test, viewing a 20-minute educational session, and completion of the post-test. As the collected data was automatically transferred to an Excel spreadsheet from Google Docs, the researcher did not have to worry about creating an Excel spreadsheet herself. The data was encrypted using ActScript, and a password was needed to access the file. The password was chosen by the researcher and has not been written down or shared with anyone to ensure confidentiality. The data is being kept on an external jump drive that is password protected and will be locked in a file cabinet in a home office. The data will be kept for 5 years, after which all electronic data will be deleted from the jump drive using the ActScript software. For the data analysis, Excel and the statistical package for social sciences, also known as SPSS, was used to analyze the data. An Excel codebook was created that converted the information obtained from the survey into a format the SPS program could understand. Responses were assigned a numerical code for each question. In Excel, formulas were inputted to provide the mean, mode, median, and counts. Inputting data is a tedious, time-intensive process, and errors can occur. Formulas were checked and rechecked prior to inputting into SPSS. The Excel file was transferred to SPSS, and then the paired samples t-test was used to analyze the data. Demographic variables were measured using descriptive statistics. Each individual question on the SSEIT was an ordinal level of measurement. As individual questions were categorical/ordinal data, the mode and median were the best descriptive statistics to use. Continuous variables were variables measured at the interval and ratio levels. The continuous variable in this project was the emotional intelligence scores. Descriptive statistics using the minimum, maximum, mode, median, standard deviation, and standard error were calculated. In this project, a paired samples t-test was used to evaluate the impact of emotional intelligence training on the nursing faculty's emotional intelligence scores. A paired samples t-test is used when there is one group and the data is collected on two different occasions under two different conditions. When interpreting the results from the paired samples t-test, the overall significance was determined. In order to conclude a significant difference exists, the probability value needed to be less than 0.05. Once a significant difference was established, the mean values were compared. With the use of the paired samples t-test, there were several assumptions that needed addressed: the level of measurement, random sampling, independence of observations, normal distributions, and homogeneity of variance. It is always best to use continuous versus categorical data, as there is a wider range of possibility techniques. In this project, both categorical and continuous variables were analyzed. The sampling in this project was random, but one of convenience. It was important that measurements were not influenced by other measurements. For ethical considerations, it was important to address confidentiality, consent, and rights to privacy. In order to maintain the confidentiality, the respondents have been assured that those who completed the survey could not have the survey traced back to them. The IP addresses were not collected by Google Docs. Also, the participants needed to understand that beginning the survey was implied consent, and once they submitted their answers could not be changed. All participants have a right to privacy, so the data was secured. So regarding the results of this project, a total of 87 faculty were invited to participate in the project. 31 faculty participated, but as 3 participants only completed the pre-test and did not complete the post-test, those results were not included in the findings. So a total of 28 nursing faculty were included in the findings. The paired samples t-test was used to evaluate the impact of emotional intelligence training on the nursing faculty's emotional intelligence scores. A paired samples t-test was conducted to evaluate the impact, and the results were: before the intervention, the mean SSEIT score was 129.68 with a standard deviation of 13.70, and after the intervention, the mean SSEIT was 135.21 with a standard deviation of 13.12. There was a statistically significant increase in the SSEIT score after the intervention, with a t-value of negative 3.045, a p-value of 0.0025 one-tailed. In the SPSS output that you see on the screen, it states a two-tailed significance, but since the researcher was only looking for a directional change of an increase in my research question instead of just a change, the report resulted were in half. The mean increase in the SSEIT score was 5.54, with a 95% confidence interval ranging from negative 9.27 to negative 1.81. The ETA squared statistic was 0.26, which indicated a large effect size. The results of the project showed that emotional intelligence can be enhanced with educational training. While this is only one study, other studies have validated the results of this project. Salovey and Mayer's emotional intelligence model is an ability model, which suggests that emotional intelligence can be enhanced with appropriate training. There is no current research that discusses the enhancement of emotional intelligence among pre-licensure nursing faculty. This is important to the profession, as the emotional intelligence levels of faculty may be varied depending on what nursing education they may have received. Over 90% of the respondents had 10 years or more nursing experience, and 40% had 25 years or more nursing experience. The importance of teaching emotional intelligence in nursing education years ago is unknown, but currently emotional intelligence may not be taught in nursing education programs because of the lack of knowledge and because of time constraints. Emotional intelligence is a concept that is important to nursing. Nursing leaders should be concerned about their employees' level of emotional intelligence. High emotional intelligence has a positive effect on interpersonal relationships, collaboration, leadership styles, patient outcomes, academic success, and job satisfaction. Increasing emotional intelligence may be helpful for coping strategies and conflict resolution. This will allow for better decision-making skills. All these skills are important when caring for patients. Low emotional intelligence can negatively impact caring for the patient. Hospitals want satisfied patients, as dissatisfied patients may seek healthcare services elsewhere. Nurses need to have clear communication and be effective in handling conflict. Without clear communication with others, patient care can be jeopardized. Workplace conflict will always occur, but how it is handled depends on one's emotional intelligence. With low emotional intelligence, conflict is often handled poorly. Teamwork and collaboration is enhanced when nurses have high emotional intelligence. High emotional intelligence is necessary for effective interdisciplinary collaboration. It is also necessary for a therapeutic nurse-patient relationship. Emotional intelligence should be included in pre-licensure nursing programs, not just for interdisciplinary collaboration, but ultimately to improve patient outcomes and nurses' emotional health. It is recommended that future research be conducted with nursing faculty employed at universities to see if there is a difference in emotional intelligence scores between nursing faculty employed at community colleges versus nursing faculty employed at universities. Because nursing faculty employed at universities often tend to have terminal degrees, it would be worthwhile to note if the educational level has any correlation to emotional intelligence level. It would be important to conduct follow-up research in 3 months, 6 months, and a year to determine if the emotional intelligence scores change over time. Also, if emotional intelligence is incorporated into the nursing curriculum after the faculty have received emotional intelligence training, research on the emotional intelligence scores of the nursing students should be conducted. This research could be conducted with students at the beginning of a nursing program and repeated at the end of the nursing program to determine if the emotional intelligence scores changed over time. It is possible there may be a correlation between emotional intelligence and the variables of age, gender, number of years as a nursing faculty, or number of years as a registered nurse. Future research with a greater sample size will be needed to investigate this. Effective nursing leaders have high emotional intelligence. Nursing leaders who are ineffective may want to reflect upon their own emotional intelligence. The lack of high emotional intelligence may be a factor in poor conflict resolution skills and poor interdisciplinary collaboration. So in summary, the purpose of this project was to evaluate the emotional intelligence of pre-licensure nursing faculty employed at community colleges before and after an educational intervention. In this project, it was found that the emotional intelligence scores did increase after an educational intervention. There was a statistically significant increase in the SSEIT score from before the educational intervention, with a mean of 129.68, standard deviation of 13.70, to after the educational intervention, with a mean of 135.21, the standard deviation of 13.12, with a p-value of 0.0025, one-tailed design. It is recommended that future research be conducted with both pre-licensure and post-licensure nursing faculty in a wider geographical area. As this project was limited to community colleges in the Midwest, the results could not be generalizable. This project also focused on nursing faculty employed in associate degree nursing programs and not baccalaureate programs. There may be a difference in the emotional intelligence level of nursing faculty employed in different types of nursing programs. The incorporation of emotional intelligence content into the nursing curriculum should be a priority for nursing programs. With the importance placed on preparing nurses to perform psychomotor skills instead of focusing on interpersonal skills, the student's emotional intelligence is affected. Nurses need high emotional intelligence to have a positive influence on interpersonal relationships, collaboration, leadership styles, patient outcomes, academic success, and job satisfaction. In this project, training enhanced the nursing faculty's emotional intelligence. With the incorporation into a nursing curriculum, the student's emotional intelligence can be enhanced. Emotional intelligence affects more than just academics. The knowledge of emotional intelligence has non-academic implications that would benefit not just the individual, but society. Inadequate inclusion of emotional intelligence in pre-licensure nursing programs may lead to a decreased ability to function within an interdisciplinary and collaborative team, therefore jeopardizing quality patient care, staff retention, and job satisfaction. Prior to inclusion of emotional intelligence in a nursing curriculum, the emotional intelligence needs of the faculty needed addressed. One can just not begin by teaching emotional intelligence to students without having the knowledge of what emotional intelligence is. These final slides are my references used for this presentation. And thank you for viewing my presentation for my final defense.